Hello, everybody, and welcome to our new Academy members. We're super excited to kick this off, and this is going to be our first in-depth training of our year-long series of topics that really matter to you for your marketing and PR. Today, we're going to talk about specifically how you can get press quickly. And in case you don't know me, I'm Miriam, and I'm the PR expert of our trio. And I'm going to walk you through a way that you can get published within the next month or two, if only you do the work. So let's get started. Now, if I could move the screen there. Okay, I wanted to just dig into the background a little bit and talk about why would you even want to get press for your business? There's a number of reasons why you want to do that, but the most important one is that getting published gives you third-party credibility that you really can't get anywhere else. I often compare it to, it's like word of mouth or referrals from other people, but they come from the media, which are some of the most credible institutions out there still to this day, most of them at least. So it really gives you credibility from a third party that you can't get any other way. That's the number one reason why anybody in any business gets PR. It's great for awareness. PR is not as much a sales driver, but it really increases your awareness so your potential customers know you are there when they are looking. It enhances your reputation, and it can vastly differentiate you from the competition, which I think is crucial in the interior design and remodeling businesses. It makes your perceived value higher. That means you can charge more money, you get more ideal clients, you get better projects. It really helps elevate your business to the next level because of this third-party credibility that makes you stand out and makes you a more desirable person to work with. So that's why we want to get press, not just because it looks good, right? It really does impact your business bottom line. So here I've compiled, it's not a very good looking slide, actually looks much better when you look at the placements individually, but these are some of the placements that designers have gotten that I have worked with, and it's really just a sampling. And these were all achieved with the strategies that we're going to talk about today. So the Wall Street Journal, it's not the norm, but that placement happened for a member of my previous membership after she'd been in the program, I think for only 2 months or so. It was rare, but it can happen. The other ones like Apartment Therapy, My Domain, Better Homes and Gardens, Spruce, House Beautiful. These are more commonly publications that show up in the platforms that we're using. So if you do the work and you follow what I'm teaching you today, you too can get these types of placements in the very near future. And here are a couple of screenshots of websites that I took of people that I have worked with in the past that have gone through my program. And this is basically how you would use your coverage after you receive it. So I'm showing you basically the end result of what will help you in your business once you get this coverage, because it's not just the fact that you're getting published, but you will be using your media coverage for your marketing and on your website. And these are screenshots of 2 different pages of 2 websites of designers that have gotten excellent coverage. And my point being is that if your ideal client is out looking for a designer to partner with, and they go on a website that shows media coverage like this, and they go on another one that has no press to show for, which one do you think they're going to pick? They're going to pick these people because these press placements show them that, they're taking their work seriously. They're recognized, people love the work they do. This is the third-party credibility that I was talking about. And you can use it on your website, on your social media, in your emails, for sales purposes. You can give your press coverage legs. So it's not just a one time and done when you get published. It's like you can reap the rewards for a long time. Okay, so what are we going to talk about today specifically? We're going to talk about a kind of pitch, and there's different kinds of pitches, and we're not going to dig deep into this. I just want to mention it sort of on the fly, but there are proactive pitches, which are a little bit more challenging to do, and there will be a different training on pitching regional magazines later in the program. We're not going to do that today. Today, we're talking about reactive pitches, and we're going to specifically talk about mainly one platform, but I'm going to mention a couple of other ones. We're mostly going to talk about Haro, which some of you may be familiar with, but we're going to get really into the nitty-gritty of how to do that. So when I say proactive pitches, and the reason why it's harder is that you are the one who takes action sort of unprompted, right? There's no reason, but it's like you come up with a strategy and a plan, and you go reach out to the media and you pitch them whatever it is that you want to get published. It could be a project, it could be a product you've designed, trends that you see, ideas that you're passionate about, profile features, interviews. It could be any of those things. But it requires you coming up with the plan and the strategy and actually executing it, which is why it's a little bit harder to do. And cold pitching somebody, it's like cold calling somebody. It's like you pitch somebody that you've never had any contact with. That can be very intimidating for people, understandably. Or a warm pitch would be if you already know a certain editor and you go back to them and you pitch them a new project maybe that you've just been working on. That gets a little bit easier. And everything, especially when you do PR, it does get easier as you keep doing it because you build some of these relationships. But we're not doing any proactive pitching. But the mindset that we need to have as we pitch or as we work with the media really remains the same. And I always like to position it as it's a win-win, right? It's like, because you want to get published, the journalist wants content. So they're not just giving you something, you are giving them something too. And I always urge people to keep that in mind, because it's not like you're asking them for a favor. This is their job. Their job is to produce good content, and you have great content. So they want what you have. So don't feel like you're bothering them or, have negative self-talk and like they're really not going to be interested. They very well might want what you have to offer. So think positive, right? Because there's a shared goal. So if you get your project published, it helps your business. If they get to publish your beautiful project or idea or trends information or whatever it may be, it helps them too, because it's interesting for their readers. So it's a collaboration more and there's nothing competitive. It's like we're helping them and they're helping us. I love this acronym, TINY, and it stands for their interest, not yours. And the reason I'm saying this is, like, when you offer content to a journalist, think about whether or not that is valuable for their audience, because that's what the editor wants. I see this often when I work with different businesses. It's like they're trying to get the marketing message out of saying, I'm like, we have the best this or that, or I'm the best at this or that. It's like, people don't care about that. You have to offer them content that is actually relevant for their readership and not self-promotional in and by itself, but you put your best foot forward, you show your best work, your best thinking, and that's what's going to impress people, not some scripted message that you want to put out there. If you want to do that, you need to buy an ad. Then you can't do PR, because PR is about what's interesting for the audience that you talk to. So it's very different. And I always say, we're in this business to serve, not sell. Same idea, right? It's like, don't just push stuff on people, but try to figure out what they need and give them what they need, and they're going to love you for it, and they're going to want to work with you more and more. And just keep in mind, journalists are people like you and me. It's like, we don't have to put them on a pedestal. They're very normal people, and most of them are super nice. As you get to build those relationships, you might even become friends with some of them if they run a magazine in your area and you work with them a lot. It could very well be that you develop a personal relationship. And I know in terms of mindset that putting yourself out there and possibly facing rejection is a challenging thing to do for anybody. But I urge you to keep in mind, I'm like, what is the worst that could really happen? I mean, they may say no. But if they say no, they probably don't say no because your project sucks or they think you're not good enough. It's just that right now, there might not be the space in their publication to run what you have to offer. But even if they say no, it's still one step in building rapport with them. It doesn't mean that you can never go back. And they might even tell you that. There might be crickets too. They might not respond because journalists are super, super busy. So don't take it personally if they don't respond or if they say no. You can always go back and try again. And eventually something will land. I guarantee it. But you can't give up. It takes a little bit of patience. And basically, of course, the only pitch that doesn't get picked up is the one that you never send. And this is true not just for proactive pitches, but for the quick pitches that we're going to be talking about today too. So just as you're listening to this, sort of put yourself in the frame of mind that, you're actually going to do this because you want to get published. So I'm going to ask for you to take action at the end of this. A pitch, a lot of people obviously don't know what a pitch is, and a pitch really is not something complicated. A pitch really is usually an email, and it has the ingredients of any other email. There's a subject line, you say hello. I'm going to give you some like super simple templates later, so don't worry about it too much, but you say hello, you introduce yourself, you say what you want to say. You give a little bit more information about your bigger idea. Then at the end, I say a call to action, but basically it means you offer help, or you offer up an opportunity for a next step. And then you say goodbye. That's it. It's really structured like any other email. So it's not complicated at all. Okay, how do I? There. This is something else that I want you to really pay attention to. Is that if you can't explain it in simple, you don't understand it well enough. And this is just to say that when you pitch, keep it simple. It's almost like you're talking to a 12-year-old. Because the journalist you're talking to is not an interior designer in all likelihood. Some of them have a really good grasp of the topics and the industry, but a lot of them may not. Some may be young, some may have zero experience. So don't assume, just, say what you want to say, but say it simply. Now we're getting to the meat of what we're going to talk to today. So reactive pitches are the ones where there's a question out there and you basically just answer the question. And there's a few platforms in PR that help you do this. The most popular one is Haro, which is what we're going to talk about. There's also newer ones which we'll touch on briefly. Quoted is definitely up and coming, so we'll keep an eye on that. Connectively is also new. It's what's probably gonna replace Haro at some point, but we're not quite there yet. So we're gonna just work with Haro for as long as it is what it is. And the bottom line is, regardless of which platform you use, how you do it will not change. So what you learn now, you'll be able to use on any of these platforms. And basically what these platforms do is they channel media requests to sources. So they connect a journalist and a content source. And you are a content source. You are an expert, and the journalists are looking for information from you. So it's almost like a dating app for journalists and experts. And sometimes you could get other media requests too, which would also be reactive. This is more likely going to happen once you have established a certain network with editors and journalists. But the media can come to you and they may ask for interviews. They may ask you for quotes, for product recommendations, for projects, trend information, all different kinds. You are a wealth of information that they are interested in tapping into. So once you have relationships, and you may very well build these through platforms like Haro, because if you provide a good answer to somebody who asks a question there, they're probably going to keep your name on file and get back to you when they need more information about something else that they're interested in. But so I've said Haro a bunch of times, and you're probably like, what the heck is Haro, right? Haro, some people call it Haro. I don't really know how to say it. I like to call it Haro. But it stands for Help a Reporter Out. And it's a platform that's been around, gosh, I don't even know when it was founded. 15 years, maybe longer. But it was... I think his background was actually in PR, the guy who founded it. And he set it up because he wanted to connect journalists who seek expertise with sources that have this expertise. And what that really means and how it works is, well, number one, it's free, which is super helpful, right? It's always nice to have. It's a website that you go and you sign up for. And don't worry, this is going to be part of your homework, so you don't have to take notes. You go to the platform, you sign up. When you sign up, you get 3 emails per day. And the emails contain queries, which are really just requests from journalists for any kind of information. There's a lot of different topics included, different categories. So there's finance, there's medical stuff, there's politics. For the categories that matter to us are really lifestyle is often where our queries show up. But there's, and general too. General is just where they sort of throw everything in that doesn't fit anywhere else. But these emails come 3 times a day, once in the morning, once around lunchtime, and once later in the afternoon. And there can easily be 100 different requests in them. It varies a little, but usually there's a large number of queries that come through. They come from small and large outlets, like you saw in the coverage that I've shown. The Wall Street Journal, like that super high profile ones, don't show up a lot, but they do. But there's definitely a lot of smaller outlets, a lot of digital outlets that are looking for information, and they use Haro a lot. the deadlines are usually very short. I would say average, no more than 2 days. Sometimes they're due the same day, sometimes they're due the next day, sometimes a little bit longer, but usually short deadlines. So it's not something you can sort of put aside and say, oh, I'll think about that in 5 days. The deadline's probably going to have passed. And I've been monitoring Haro for, gosh, I don't know, the last 2+ years, because I specifically go in and I pick out queries that are asking for design information. And I would say that on an average, it can easily be that there's 100 queries in a month that are specifically asking for information from interior designers. Sometimes there's 1 a day, sometimes there's 2, sometimes 3, sometimes 4. It just depends. But there's a lot of opportunity for designers to get media coverage by using this because of the quantity of queries that are out there. So what does a query look like? So this little pullout here, it's basically what it looks like. So it's a summary of what the person is looking for. Then there's the name of the journalist. There's this scripted email is where you send your response to, because you don't email the editor directly. It all gets channeled through the Haro system. So when the editor gets your submission, he or she is going to get it, yours and pretty much anybody else's who submits at the same time as you do. But like they're usually the queries are very specific, right? They ask questions, and your job is to answer the questions. But this is what they look like. And we'll be posting these queries in the Facebook group. So you actually don't have to go looking through all the emails. You can, just for fun, but we're going to take that work off your plate and we're going to sort through the queries and we're going to put the ones that are relevant for you in the Facebook group. So all you have to do is respond to it, which is a huge, huge time saver. We'll talk a little bit more about how specifically you responded, but basically is you send an email. You know, you use a catchy subject line that sort of exemplifies what you're trying to say. You specifically answer the questions in the query and you tell them who you are. I'll show you a little template afterwards that you can use or be inspired by. It's like in Haro, you cannot send attachments. Attachments will not go through because it is this software-driven platform that they use. So all attachments get stripped. So you want to send hyperlinks. And what I actually only learned not too long ago is that it is better to use the complete hyperlink. No, the complete URL instead of a hyperlink. So don't hyperlink a word. Don't say here, are pictures, and then hyperlink pictures with a link to your Dropbox or a Google Drive or wherever you keep your images, but put the full URL of where you link to in the email. Apparently that works better from a technical perspective. But that's all you do. They ask you questions and you reply. So here's something like a simple structure that you can use. Basically, you always want to give them the subject line, even though they know where the email is coming from, because they'll get it through the system. So that gives you the opportunity to put in whatever the key thing is that you want to tell them. Put that in your subject line. Then you say hello. You put in a super short intro. Okay, don't put your whole bio in there. Keep it short. 1 or 2 sentences about who you are and why you should be answering this question, why you're qualified to answer this question. And then go right into the query and answer exactly what they ask. A lot of them get really mad if you are not specific and to the point, because they're very busy. So don't be super formal with a long introduction. Get right to the point and say, this is your question. Here's what I have to say about it. At the end, this is when you're offering help, you say, you can offer whatever you want. It's if you want further information, please let me know. Would you, and this is little bit more inviting, say, would you be interested? I'd be happy to talk to you. I'd be happy to provide more information, more images, whatever it is that they are asking for. And then most importantly, include your complete information, your website, your email, your phone number, which probably is in your signature already, but just make sure that they know how to get a hold of you. So let's look a little. Some of this I already mentioned, but it's really important to remember this. So Haro deadlines are firm. It will say this query expires on this day at this time. And if you send an email after that, it will not go through because the computer system, the Haro system will cut it off. So once the deadline is gone, the opportunity is gone, which is why it's important to look at Haro queries often and as quickly as you can. And if there is one that you think is a good fit for you, I would highly, highly recommend that you respond as soon as possible. Like I said, no attachments, no hyperlinks, use full links, and only answer the questions they ask. Don't tell them something else that you want to sell them on, okay? Only specifically respond to the questions that they ask. Keep it short because, like I said, they're very, very busy. And this is one tip that, as I've learned over the years, can be really valuable to people because sometimes you overthink. It's like, oh my God, how am I going to say? It's like, oh, I have to rewrite this sentence, and this is not. I'm like, I wonder about my grammar, and it's like you have to write poetry almost. No, you don't. You just have to give them the information they're looking for, and a lot of the times, the way they are going to pick you up is in a quote. So spoken language works really, really well. So I highly recommend just write as you speak. Don't overthink it. You don't have to write a novel. You don't have to be a writer. Just write as you speak. And then, of course, choose queries that suit your particular niche, right? Because you're not going to be able to respond to all of them, because there's a lot of them. That would be a lot of work. So I would say be choosy about what you pick. But if you're really serious about wanting to get coverage, then think about submitting, I want to say, at least 2 to 3 a week. Okay, that's doable. One of these submissions should not take you more than 15 or 20 minutes, absolute max. As you practice it more, it'll be less time. Maria, what would you say? What's the average time you spend on a Haro query?
Some of the ones I get picked up on are ones where I just see it come through and I immediately respond to it. And
Right.
sometimes the ones that get picked up are probably the ones I put the least amount of time into.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
It's very true. Yeah. And it speaks to your point. It's like, don't expect a placement each and every time. Like Maria said, it's like you'll probably submit quite a few. It's like I always say the ratio for you to get one placement is probably 1 to 2 in 10. So if you can get at least 1 to 2 placements per 10 submissions, that's good. Actually, that's good. And if you think about it, if you do that over a few months, even if you do that over 6 months, over a year, that will result in a really nice portfolio of coverage.
One of the things that we also have found after doing it for a full year is that the questions are going to be similar during the seasonality the
Yes.
following year. So even if you just keep a log of how you were responding and to what topics you were responding to,
Mhm.
some of your pitches that didn't get picked up, you could reference, look at, decide how you want to change it for the following year, because it'll be the similar request, similar times of the year.
Very true. The content calendar that the media follow is very seasonal. Even if you look at editorial calendars of magazines, basically they repeat themselves year after year after year with slight tweaks. So that's excellent advice. Yes. Yeah. So definitely. And we'll talk a little bit more about how to monitor potential coverage that you get in a little bit, but definitely keep track of the pitches that you submit. So if there's one that's similar, then you don't have to recreate the wheel. Do not submit exactly the same. That's a no-no. You know, each of your submissions needs to be unique in a way. Also, don't use AI generated text to submit to Haro queries, because these editors are smart and they will double check it. And if they realize that you used AI text for a submission, they're never going to consider you again. So definitely love AI, but can't use it for this. It's got to be personal information that you share. And also don't spam them or ask for backlinks, because those are valuable. We know this. You may get a backlink sometimes with coverage. That happens actually quite a bit, but don't be pushy about it, right? You will get what you get, and they will do their best to portray you in the most favorable light. And if they can, they will probably link back to your page. So my final tips are Haro placements, and I've alluded to this a number of times throughout the time I've been speaking already, but they're great what I call media stacking. It basically just means that you accumulate a nice selection of media coverage that you can showcase to bolster the awareness and the reputation of your business. They're perfect for that. And you don't have to have a bunch of amazing projects. You know, a lot of these are expertise based and trends based. So sometimes they will ask for photos, but oftentimes actually not. Oftentimes it's just one quote, one thought, you know, that you have to send them, and that's all it takes to get published. You do, if you want to be successful, or how should I put this? The more frequently you check and the quicker you submit, the more success you're going to have. It's really a numbers game. It comes down to that. Now, like, you can be creative, but you really need to stick to what the query is asking for. Like I said, keep them short. Keep them short. People are busy. Don't write a novel. Write as you speak. And if they ask for a quote, then like put the quote in so they can just copy paste it, right? Just make like our job, like, because think of yourself as your own PR person. Your job is to make the job of the journalist easy, because that way they're more likely to consider you and take your content and use it. You cannot follow up with people. Sometime in regular PR, this is definitely a thing. You want to follow up with people, but journalists use Haro for this. They want to go in, they want to get content, and they do not want to be badgered by the people who have submitted, because there are ways that you don't have the email of this person, but there are ways that you can find it out. But even if you do not email them. Yes, Maria.
No, keep saying what you're saying. I'm going to follow up with one.
Okay. It's like, don't badger them, right? Don't say, oh, I sent you the submission. It's like, will you include me? Don't do that. In Haro, that's an absolute no-no.
And then there's two other things that are important about Haro that I didn't hear immediately. Is one, you have to be signed up for Haro to respond to a Haro request. if you are not signed up for Haro,
Very
the
true.
emails don't work. Okay.
Mhm.
So you gotta have that. Number two, if you send a response after the deadline, it will not make it in. So if you're looking at a request that the deadline has expired, that email link also has expired. Even if the journalist still wants more responses, they will repost the request and say, I need more responses to this topic, and they will extend your deadline.
Yes, excellent point. Yes, you do have to be signed up. So what will happen is we will post the queries in the Facebook group, but in order for you to be able to respond, you do have to sign up on the page on the website as I've outlined in the homework. So please, please do that. And ideally, of course, Haro is step number one in the PR approach that I teach for interior designers, remodelers, really any kind of small business. It's best used in conjunction with other PR tactics that we will talk about as throughout the course of the year. But this is a great start. This is a great way to get your feet wet and get your first successes under your belts. So I really, really highly encourage you to just do the homework. I kept it super minimal, so it's not overwhelming. But we are here to help you. So we're doing the sifting through the emails. Like, you can ask questions in the Facebook group and I will respond. If you want me to review your pitch, you can either bring it to one of the weekly calls, or you can also post it in the Facebook group and I can take a look at it there. Like, just know that I am here to help. And if you do submit to a query, it's like, I'd love it if you could say in the Facebook group, just put in the comments of the post that's there, say, I submitted. And then, of course, if and when you get coverage, I would love to see it, because we love to see the successes of the people that we work with and know that what we teach actually works. And I know it does. So you do the work, then we'll celebrate together. Okay, that's what I have for Haro. There's going to be a homework sheet that we're going to post. Your homework is to sign up for Haro and submit at least one pitch. If you get a taste for it and you want to do as many as you like, please, by all means, that would be exciting. But that's the number one homework. Sign up and just give it a try. I'm like, minimal effort, maximum results. And that's how you get closer to getting your own ink. Yeah, start getting some press, because it will make a huge difference for your business. I'm not going to talk about this at length, but just know that there are other platforms out there. Quoted is definitely up and coming. It's next generation, so it's much more user friendly. And there's a lot of talk in the PR world about how Quoted is, how people are migrating from Haro over to Quoted just because it's more reliable. It's actually much easier to use, like, if you know how, but it takes a little bit more to get into. And it's really designed for PR people who pitch on behalf of clients. So I'm not going to go into any details, but if anybody like gets a taste for this and wants to know more about how this works, I'm happy to talk about it. Maria, I know you have tried it before. What's your take?
It's actually only like free to try. If you really want to get on it and use it, it is a paid platform. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Yes, that is very true. And it's, you go in and you set up your own profile that's much more detailed than in Haro. It also allows you to go in and search for queries, which Haro does not. So it really is just, it's like the modern version of Haro. it allows you to pitch on behalf of other people, which most of you are not going to want to do. Like, I don't know, well, maybe if it becomes a real thing, we'll figure out a way how we can help everybody in the group with that. But like Maria said, it is free, and you get 2 free pitches per account per month, which for those people who really want to get into the PR game, I would recommend that you try it, because you have better success, you have better chances of getting picked up with a quoted query than with a Haro query, because fewer people use it at this point. But if you wanted to do more than 2 pitches, you'd have to sign up for it, and it costs $149 a month. So I'd be hard pressed to recommend that for anybody who's not a PR agency person, right? It's just, it's pricey, and I don't know that it's worth it. But it is out there and it is growing. And some people post on both Haro and Quoted. I think everybody's trying out and seeing which one works better. But for now, we're going to stick with Haro. And if Quoted takes over, then we'll migrate over there and figure out a way to help you with that. But the basic premise is the same. The way you pitch is the same. You use the same rules in Quoted. What is different is that the editor, if you can see if they read your submission, and when they respond to you, which some of them will in Haro too, like if they respond to you, you will see it within the platform. So it makes it easier to track. But in Haro, the response from the editor would come via email, right? So if you make a submission, just, you never know. Sometimes editors will reach back out to you and ask follow-up questions. So that can happen. But the basic premise is the same. It's just that the platform is slightly different. Connectively is another one that's actually brand new, and it's launched by Haro. So what we're all thinking is that eventually they want Connectively to replace Haro the way it is now. But people are slow adapters for the most part. So we're pretty sure that the Haro emails, the way they are coming in now, are going to be sticking around for quite a while, and also going to remain free. So we're going to leverage and utilize that for as long as we can. But now that you're in the group, I will definitely keep an eye on this, and I'll keep everybody up to date on if we need to shift strategies or not. But the main thing for you is that learn how to do these short pitches, and whichever platform we're going to end up using, you will be able to use your approach on all of them. This just if anybody, the presentation will be uploaded to in the back end of the Academy. So if you want the details, you can go in there and get a little tutorial on how to set up your profiles. But stick with Haro. Go sign up. Oh, see there, you can search by keywords on these other platforms as well, which is really, really nice. But since you have us giving you the queries that you want, you don't have to worry about that, because we do all that work for you. It's another example of, it's a Haro query. It just comes in on a different platform. Okay, so most importantly then, if you do this work that I've just given you, if you do the homework, if you start submitting to these Haro queries, I really want to make sure that you are going to be able to find the coverage. So the journalists are not going to necessarily let you know whether or not you have been included, or whether or not the article was published, right? So the burden is on you to find this coverage. And if you do the work, you want to make sure you find you're tracking your coverage. So how do we do that? It's like, we have to plan a little bit. We have to have a little tracking system, and we need Google Alerts, which is what we're going to be talking about, setting that up. I don't know. Maybe some of you already have that. Maybe not. I would recommend that you have a super simple tracker where you track the submissions that you make. And what's important to know is what publication the pitch went to, the name of the editor, and the topic. Those are the things that are going to help you track down the coverage. Because if you submit on a relatively frequent basis, you're not going to remember all the submissions you make. So it's really important that you track them. You can pick whatever system you want. If Excel's not your thing, you can write it on a paper pad. You can, I tend to do a lot of sorting in my emails, but I do think a basic list works best to, so you can sporadically go in and look and just make sure you didn't miss out on any coverage, because it's happened to so many people. I know, to myself too. It's like occasionally I just Google my name. And I already have alerts set up, but sometimes things pop up that I didn't know were out there. So it's good to keep an eye on that. Yeah, these are all more advanced tips, but I just want you to pick a system that works for you, so you know what you're pitching and you can make sure that you are out there. So when we're tracking online coverage, we're not doing print or broadcast, which makes things so much easier. So the best way to do this is via Google Alerts. And I actually have to tell you, I prefer Google Alerts and Google searches to a lot of the professional PR monitoring software systems that are out there, which cost a lot of money, but are not very effective. So in the homework, there's also instructions on how to set up your Google Alerts. And I want you to set up Google Alerts for your name, your personal name, and your business name, because you may be getting coverage for under either one of those, usually both, but it could be under either your business name or your personal name. If you have any products that you're promoting, or if you have a big project that you're promoting that has a particular name, you can set up an alert for that as well. Then you can set up your Google Alerts to come in at whatever frequency you choose. Just be sure to read them, okay? And every now and then, like I said, in case you missed one, or in case Google didn't catch it for whatever reason, just Google your name sporadically, your business name. And if you have your list of submissions and you think that maybe you had an interaction with the journalist that sent out the Haro query, if you had an interaction with them, it usually means that they will cover you. So I would encourage you to go to, like, if it was apartment therapy, go on the apartment therapy site and plug in your name and search for it. And if you were covered in, it'll show up 100%. So maybe put a monthly reminder, monthly, quarterly, doesn't really matter, on your calendar. Just make sure you track for coverage. Here's a little outline of how this is also in the homework. So you don't necessarily have to find it here, but it's super easy to set up your Google Alerts. So please do it so we can make sure we track the successes. That is really it. And I think that went a little bit long, but so many things and so many more things I could say. Thank you all for being here. Please, 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 if you want to get PR coverage, do the two things that I put in the homeworks. I kept it super simple because I know everybody is very busy, but this is 200% the best way for you to get started on your journey to get press. So please follow through. Good deal. So we'll wrap it up for today, and we'll see everybody on the weekly call next Friday and in the Facebook group.